Um, wasn't planning on recording today, but seems as every day is just practice. I decided to turn it on. So, kind of like what we talked about yesterday, I'm gonna try to just be more patient, um, and not skip around so much. I did just sit down a couple minutes ago, um, and I'm kind of hoping. I mean, we're in a premium of a premium, and if it wants to run long, it could, but I'm not really interested in it at all. Um, this is kind of what I'm looking at, but I'm really just looking for some sort of short sometime today to get. This is the 20 to 30% retracement for the size of the weekly candle, on electronic trading hours. This is one of the most recent 15-minute swing lows right before um, right before the open. We can just put it there instead, I guess. It doesn't really matter. Probably I'll hit both of them if it does. But there's that 15-minute swing low, um, on my weekly candle. Um, oops, from this low to this high. Where is it? This point 0.8 level, or this point 0.7 level, and this point 0.8 level are that 30% retrace, 20 to 30% retracement for the size high to low of that weekly candle. Um, so I'm gonna try and take a chill this morning compared to yesterday. If I really am just screwing myself by talking about too much and so much back and forth, but um, really just watch it. I will look at a couple of other things though. I think this is Thursday, Friday. When? How do I see this? Oh, never mind. So anyway, that's kind of what I'm thinking. I don't even know if I'm going to be really talking about anything important or pertinent, but really just try and chill this morning and not, in the essence of continuing to just practice, talk to myself, walk myself through things, not being very happy with yesterday, and then getting more outside input. Um, I just need to take a breath. So I'm gonna try and do a better job sticking with my bias to get down to here. If it doesn't want to, it doesn't want to. But until then, I'm just gonna kind of wait and see. Um, Wait and see what she gives us. This is supposed to be 5 minutes. Does do feel a little bit better. Like yesterday, I remember talking about how when we took these highs yesterday, this was previous all-time highs, and then Asia session traded up, and then during yesterday's New York session, um, we had this big rundown, took out this low over here, and then just slowly traded back up. But yesterday's PM regular trading hours stops at 4:15, and it never took out that high. And yesterday when we were working it down here, I was talking about how I had a feeling that New York session was going to take this high one more time, and here we are over here. If you look at even regular trading hours, um, And I guess from a regular trading hours perspective, it did get taken even yesterday because regular trading hours high. This is all previous, you know, but same deal. So I'm kind of pretty happy with that. I'm just gonna chill. I'm gonna go ahead and this over right there. London session this morning. So even from a 7 o'clock perspective, this is 7 a.m. initial sell side down here, or pre-market sell side. Let's go ahead and throw some of my other sessions on here for ranges that might possibly use later in the day. Asia. Let's throw this on. London 2 a.m. to 5 a.m. It stops at 4:55 for some reason. Maybe this stops at 4:55 because it's that whole, 4:40, 4:59 to 6 o'clock thing that I was talking about yesterday, as far as if the candle takes the higher the low, which candle do you use for the range? It'd be a lot easier to decipher if I went to the 1 minute chart, but it's kind of annoying when it does this. No, it's not really a big deal. Where's my London? There she is. I'll just keep those on there for now. We also have a discount opening range gap, which is kind of also pulling me toward that bearish bias. But oh no, this may just want to keep going and going and going, in which case I'll just not be a part of it. It's fine. This video might be a little bit shorter. Again, I'm just doing it to practice, and I'll upload it, even if there's not much here. Oh yeah, and after yesterday, I just kind of want to stay off the 15-second chart. The first day I used the 15-second chart, I was using more than just market structure. The first video I uploaded. Using first presented fair value gap and 830 and the opening range is all kind of gaps to base 15-second changes in the state of delivery for, quick little scalps, if you want to say that. But then, like yesterday, the first video I made me way too overconfident in what I thought was going to happen with me walking myself through these verbally. And so yesterday I was just being dumb, like super disappointed in yesterday. But so I'm gonna try and do a little bit differently this morning. This is 939. Is this a fair value gap right here? This right here is our first presented fair value gap. Get rid of that. Grab my water. Let's see something funny. Just stuff I've had set up from the past. Check this out. I'll be right back, everybody. That's some fancy shit right there, huh, boy? If you know, at the time I upload these, there's only one person, that good friend of mine, that watches these, so if anybody ever comes across these, I would kind of be surprised. But from a perspective of helping me out, or a projection perspective of how far this gets, if you know, when you're watching the market this morning, and if you watch this video later, you know, how would you go about setting a projection for where this could potentially reach to? I guess let's just see something here. If this is our previous breaker, high, low, higher, high, this right here possibly being our like, that's kind of the best I got as far as what to shoot for. And even at that, I'm not too confident in what to expect. Is would the -2 from that range or that breaker be enough? Or I guess because that's the only thing I have to go off of. And I'm not confident that this is even in the right spot, but I'll just leave it on there for now. Maybe it will help. No, I won't. I don't want to start guessing or trying to pick tops. If you have anything that you want to offer up for that, kind of know, but I'm not going to try and guess it this morning. So regardless of this sell side right here, leaving it open, an untouched first presented fair value gap like this, 99% of the time, this is going to get filled, which means we'll get back down here eventually. But whether that's before 10 o'clock or after 10 o'clock, I couldn't tell you. We'll just still see what it does, I guess. Still see what she does. Want to see another cool thing? Just one sitting. You can see that. I don't know. So one thing that's always, I feel like there's multiple mornings where it'll run up. You know, not necessarily always at all-time highs, but like on this, where are we? Throughout days like this, when you're constantly, granted, you can always look left to over here, but when you're just always reaching and reaching and reaching, there's probably some mornings in here where, if 9:30 were to open down here per se in this candle, and then just run up, and there's not too much to go off of over here, and then even before 10 o'clock it will just give you one breaker before 10 o'clock, trade all the way back down, and then rally for the rest of the day. It's kind of days like that where they're confusing for me. Not confusing for me, but a lot of the times that short will show itself, we'll say, pretty early in the morning before 10 o'clock, and all it will give you is just where's my where's the little marker? Well, it doesn't matter. You can imagine just one breaker early in the morning, take the high, and then start selling off. Or it may give you an initial high, like up here, and it doesn't even take a swing low. Say the swing low wasn't here, but it would just trade down, trade up into the fair value gap, and then come all the way back down here. Maybe that's one of those scenarios where you just kind of sit there. Maybe it's just one of those mornings where you just kind of sit there and wait for it if it doesn't give you the setup that you're looking for. But that's kind of been something that I haven't been the greatest at too, as far as when it shows you that setup so early in the morning that you can take that, I guess. I don't know if that's making sense, but just something I'm thinking about. So I see this fair value gap right here. I'm curious to see what it does after this, if it just wants to go or wants to show some sort of reason to turn around. To see this fair value gap possibly act as an inversion with these swing lows right here. In fact, I'll just throw this on there. We're also into the macro right now. Oh, I realize you live a pimp lifestyle, up in the trailer, up in the woods with your dogs and whatnot, but I will tell you that, this is pretty nice, man. Been kind of waiting for this all year. Pretty nice. in the future, like next week. I definitely don't want to stop making videos because I think getting your advice and you know, hearing things that I'm potentially doing wrong, especially if it's my own mind screwing me so many times. Um, but I kind of feel like I'm only gonna be recording, and YouTube's free, which is really nice, and it's really easy to record these, so I can just, you know, do it whenever I want, really. I mean, I set this up in 2 minutes this morning before I clicked the record button, but I may only do it Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, because I know a lot of the times, you know, Mondays can be pretty shitty, and depending on how the week went, Fridays can also just be pretty meh, unless you get like wide range TGIF, you know, but I know we've already traded down last night and hit that level, but I don't know if it's pertinent as far as, you know, wanting the candle to close within that level. But I also know that our last weekly candles, like this candle, didn't worry about that. Didn't worry about that 20 to 30% retracement of the week whatsoever, and we were in all-time highs as well. So I could be completely wrong, but it's kind of, I guess, the only thing I really have to go off of, or what to expect for the morning. We're clearly in a premium. The daily end dog is down there, the opening range gap is down there, initial sell side is down there, our weekly retracement is down there. So if she doesn't want to go down there, I don't know what to say, but that's kind of all I'm thinking. Show me one day. This is also my 2-minute chart. So this is potentially, I don't do this very often, but in the spirit of practicing, there's my macro fair value gap, and I look-key want to change that. I don't like the middle line anymore, and I also clearly don't need to mark that as a fair value gap. So 10 o'clock's gonna open in less than 1 minute. What's up, Cap Cole? Yeah, this is 10 o'clock open. Yesterday you were talking about how you couldn't see the green line. That green line that I put on there is just the 10 o'clock opening price. Or the open of the 10 a.m. candle. 4-hour candle. I know there's not much going on this morning as far as like what I'm doing and or saying on camera. Really just trying to chill. But the other thing is, regardless of what I'm doing on the camera, like even just sitting here and making myself watch it while I know the camera's on, like it helps me from pulling up my phone and looking at shit that I don't care about and getting distracted and whatnot. So that's another reason I kind of just wanted to turn it on this morning. So who knows, I just was talking about how I won't do it on Mondays or Fridays, but from a focus perspective, we'll see. I might end up doing it just to make myself, because I can always delete the video, or just for the realness factor, just upload them, because there's no reason not to, and you can decide what you want to watch. Or I can always be like, hey, watch this one, because this one this day proved to be a little bit of a problem for me, or whatever. But so yeah, look at the size of this range. 630 to 900, 250 handles this morning. Kind of makes me think there's not going to be much happening, but For the sake of practice, I'll just continue sitting here. AM range. We have, so there's this order block. Just use this one. This order block around consequent encroachment on the 5-minute chart, kind of. We'll see here. Okay, so we have this macro fair value gap right on top of that quadrant, which might be a pretty good cue here in a minute. Pretty good cue. What does that even mean? And this is, yeah, we'll see, I guess. Oh, you know what? The other thing. From that weekly perspective, now this should be all the way up here with a new high of this week. From this low to this new high, this is the now 20 to 30% retracement, which is right at the New York Open. Not down here at that sell side I was talking about this morning. So we'll see. Maybe it doesn't, but so I think you can't see it, but 20% retracement for the week is right here. And where? Oh, it's above it. Okay. So oh, here it is. This is it. 20% retracement right here. 30% retracement right here. So basically this box is ideally where I would like to see the daily candle close. But again, we'll just wait and see. octants. Oh shit, so what would this be? 13, 0.125? Yeah, right there. Then 25 plus 12, 0.375. 37.5. Make this red as well. And then 0.625. Yep. And then last one will be 0.75, 12, 87.5. Let's save as octants. So let's get rid of this. And just for practice sake, throw that on there. Make it thick. Because it is kind of a wide range. So at this point in time, I see these 5-minute bodies respecting the high of that. We'll see if they continue to do so, or if it wants to just keep pushing higher. Again, I'm not taking any trades, and I'm very, very not interested in taking any longs, so we'll see. Might keep this video open till 10:30 or 10:40. Not that you need to watch the whole thing, because at that point it'd be pretty long, but again, just for my own focus and whatnot. That was one more time. Above the 10 o'clock open, there is a fair value gap right here. We'll see if it trades through this or not. But regardless, it's pretty small, and I wouldn't consider it, serious displacement to either side. If I was trying to take longs, but we'll see what it does here. Maybe I shouldn't talk, because because you don't. It doesn't matter what kind of fair value gap it is. All you need is a fair value gap. So if it wants to push higher, it totally will off of that. So I don't know what that was about, but. What I'm looking at is that we had this initial 10 a.m. high, traded through it one more time. Now how it reacts off of this fair value gap is really what I'm looking for. Oh, but again, we also have the opening of that range right there. So okay, so our 5-minute candle closed above it. From this fair value gap perspective, this body is respecting the top of that fair value gap, trading into it one more time here. So we'll see what it does. And this is kind of where I would like to look at a 15-second chart. I said I wouldn't. Still not doing much. Well, there's your breaker. There's your fair value gap. If you were looking for, I won't even pretend that I was trying to call it or anything. Let's go back to our 1 minute. So any level, this is kind of sometimes I have a hard time with if I'm looking for a potential order blocker in here. It may, and part of it, this is, it may not just, if you are looking for the short, I would have to take a breath if I was doing this off camera and be like, no, just wait. You know, when it doesn't leave this fair value gap right here, to not rush myself into doing anything. You know, whether you were to opt to try and do something within the previous wick or anything, I won't try to, you know, say where it's going to go. But this is one of those times where I would have to tell myself to just wait. If I was in the market of doing something this morning, or in the whatever that word would be, you know. So let's look at, curious to see how this 5-minute candle closes. Regardless of if it trades below the close of this candle right here, to make this a valid bearish order block, I would. Well, let's try this as well. If we have a hankering that this is going to be a bearish order block, maybe that can give us insight into what this is going to do without necessarily taking the swing low prior or creating a bearish fair value gap, a CB. Oh, see, it's also me not paying attention, trying to pay attention and not completely pay attention. But this right here, you know, I was thinking about what you said as far as the macro fair value gap possibly being 10 o'clock. But in this case, the macro fair value gap is something to possibly shoot for as a target when the likelihood of returning to it is pretty high. That I still should have marked out this BC right here as a possible inversion fair value gap, or the actual macro fair value gap, as it both of these candles are just trading back up into the into the silver bullet fair value gap, I mean. I'm curious to see how this 5-minute candle closes. To leave this as a valid bearish order block. We have taken a couple swing highs right here. It's not leaving this as a fair value gap, but this is a small little volume imbalance right here, and it doesn't care. the low of that bearish fair value gap, or bearish order block. And so those 5-minute candles basically closed with no serious displacement between the open of the previous and the close of the following one. So I wouldn't trust anything in here really. At least if this was, this is what I was talking about, those two candles, but if this was, you know, ultimately bearish, I would have wanted this candle to close a little bit further below from a displacement perspective. At least that's kind of what I've trained myself to like and look for and or want when I'm looking for market structure that way. But again, I need to get out of just the market structure. The other thing though, I could still be on the bearish side, is that if this is the open, oh no, this is the open of that 5-minute candle. All we've done so far is trade up, so we'll see what happens in the next couple minutes. But really, if this is still a valid bearish order block, it's just trading up into it all the same right now. And instead of, let me get this off of there actually and just put my silver bullet fair value gap on there. But you know, this choppiness, these 5-minute candles looking pretty garbage, is not to be expected after you run, you know, 250 handles within the first half an hour of the trading day. It's not to be unexpected that around 10 a.m. you're just met with pretty shitty price action. So this will put us back above that silver bullet. This is my 2-minute, not my 5-minute. So this could just continue further higher, higher, further. Well, we'll see. I would expect this to get taken at this point. The way I kind of work through this right now is that ever since 10 o'clock, I mean 10 o'clock opened all the way over here, but we've taken the high of that opening range, but we're just back and forth along this, right around the 10 o'clock open. So I would, at this point, either wait for the macro at the end of the hour, or at a minimum 10:30, because I believe that 10:30 is also the close of the London session. So a lot of the time you can get something around 10:30, or obviously the macro at the end of the hour. So I would just trade it back into this fair value gap right here. Mark it out even. It's also the top of this bullish order block. Right here. And that's not me saying it's gonna just respect this order block and shoot right back up. I'm just noticing things as I'm walking myself through this, but when 10 o'clock opens like this and it just looks like shit, a lot of the time I have to tell myself to wait, or just understand that from a PD array perspective that it's not respecting anything, and until it cleans itself up, to not do anything. This looks gross. Like regarding those 15-second charts yesterday and the day before, even the day before, when I was looking at those 15-second charts, I was just going purely based on market structure yesterday. As far as, there's a 15-second breaker, you can probably do that bullshit to get up to that bullshit. And it completely screwed me, and I don't know why I was trying to get at that. Whereas the day before, like when I was calling stuff like that, it's because there was still higher time frame, even higher time frame, like 1 minute to 2 minute PD arrays that you could use to help frame that 15-second bias. Like I don't know what I was doing yesterday, but yesterday just pissed me off. But when you're looking for shit like that, I need to do a better job of having, whether it's pertinent fair value gaps or order blocks or something on a higher time frame, in order to use, in order to grab those small 15-second trades. I don't know what I was doing yesterday. Made me mad all day. This is 1030 right here. So one thing I see that would have given me problems on the other morning, and I realized this, this could slow down or not be the big short of the day that I was looking for. But like if I was trying to look for it, I obviously see these two relative equal lows right here, but I also see these relative equal highs right here. Now, if, like I was talking about earlier, you tried selling short within this silver bullet fair value gap right here, and you put your, just see what it is. You put your stop, yes, so it's still only a 20 handle stop, which isn't bad. But you put your stop above the, the candle that makes the fair value gap. So if you went short in here, you never would have got stopped out. However, from experience and being honest with myself, if I did end up going short in here, like this is one of those trades where I would have definitely been kicking myself for, I knew it, yada, yada, yada. Traded above the fair value gap, so I closed it, and it never would have taken me out, But then it runs to the sell side, without ever taking that initial high that we were looking at. But I also see these as relative equal highs. So a couple questions that maybe you can answer for me is, one, why, when to know that this initial high will not actually be taken out, or and maybe that comes by looking at stuff in here for a reason where it's gonna flip around, I guess. What could I do to build confidence that it's not going to take out these two highs right here, but also, obviously if you were to sell short in here, nothing in here is clean, and if these candles just trading back up into this for this short right here, again, there's not any sort of bearish fair value gap or legitimate change in the state of delivery. This is really the only one we have. But again, no fair value gap. And from a market structure perspective, I guess I've learned that that's one thing I really, really like. But what could help me? What could help me with the confidence from a bearish perspective, whether to pull gradients off of something or to look at this fair value gap, or something in here, because this is not clean, in order to take a short off this. Now I realize a better trader could, maybe you did, right? But just help me out. What would have been something in here to look for or to see as it was happening? Because I guess after it created this, we're wicking down into, like, I see we're wicking down into this, and I see we're also wicking up into this, but the last thing that I see is, well, shit, I guess even on a bullish perspective, it's not like it's taking a swing high in here, and that's just one thing that I've always learned to look for or like seeing. But now it's hitting my macro fair value gap and doing that big push down, which I was looking for. So it's fine. I said I wasn't going to be looking for any trades and whatnot. If I took this one, it never would have hit the stop, but I probably would have closed it. So up in this bullshit up here, what could I have potentially seen to help me out with that? Anyway, I don't know if this is gonna hang out down here. You know, there's order block confluences in here that might slow it down a little bit. I'm not interested in doing anything more. I might continue to watch it for a bit, but I'm gonna end this because ultimately, this right here is kind of what I was looking for. So I'm gonna end it, and I guess just give me your, if you have some advice later, whenever you get to watching this, I would appreciate some insight. But until then, be safe. Good luck and good trading.